Hybrid cars are generally very boring to drive and own because they give you fuel economy, but they give you nothing sporty about driving any car. And that is what every automaker does. And then you have Honda, because Honda being, I call them geniuses in what they do. They decided, what if we came up with a system that can give people who buy our hybrids an opportunity to have a sporty drive, at the same time, good fuel economy. And that's what they did with their new hybrid system. And these hybrid systems, you can get them on either a Honda Freed, Honda Grace, a Honda Fit hybrid, or one of the most misunderstood car, which is the Honda Vezel Hybrid. So the new system that Honda have designed is what they call the intelligent dual clutch drive. And that gives you an opportunity to have a sporty drive, proper fuel economy, an opportunity to switch between electric motor and as well an internal combustion engine. So why is this car one of the most misunderstood, misrepresented, mistalked about car in the Kenyan market space today? It's because it is a hybrid. But before I tell you about all the misconceptions and all the bad things that people have said about this car, let's talk about why this car is the ideal car for you. First, this car falls into the category that we call the compact SUV. Hapa utakutana na CX-3, hapa utakutana na gari kama SX4, hapa utakutana na gari kama Peugeot 2008. But this one stands out for two significant things. Thing number one is the fact that this car is stylish. Just look at how beautiful and awesome that car looks. In fact, most ladies like buying this car because of how it looks. And men as well. On this one, we will go in both. Easy kama CX-5. It looks good for both male and female. And this particular one, of course, it comes on a bit more aggressive because it has an aggressive body kit going on at the front. Just a beautiful car. You know, there are cars that you don't do a lot in terms of describing. Look at the wheels, alloy wheels. These are size 17, and they just make this car look beautiful and awesome. Of course, you have disc at the front, disc at the rear. The side profile also very meticulously designed. Uko na hizi curving lines zinateremka hapa chini, which is just good. Of course, you have some few chromes going on. And something unique and special I'll talk about is the aspect that Honda decided to hide the position of the latch that you open the rear window. And you guys tell me, which was the first car that came up with this design? Okay, you know that car because, again, ladies love that car. But this car is subtle. It's quite attractive to your eye. It's a car that will speak of beauty and elegance from the first eye. Now, I told you there are a few reasons why this car is considered to be the favorite in this segment. Okay, people will choose this car over the CX-3. People will choose this car over so many other cars, kama 2008, even though the 2008 is cheaper. This car actually is among the most expensive. I think this car will set you back anything between 2.7 million to right now you're going towards 2.93 mic. You know, with the newer CRSPs. And when the CRSPs hit in, you guys are going to pay more premium for this car. But one element that gives this car an edge over the rest is, of course, practicality. So most cars suffer when it comes to this space here, especially the CX-3. The 2008 is quite endowed when it comes to this space, but this one, of course, beats them all. This car is called protocol. This is why most people go for this. If you look at it from the exterior, inakanga ni kama si kubwa sana, but now you guys looking at it from this point gives you the point that this car is quite practical. Does it come with the spare wheel? No, just like any other Honda, you'll have to work with a tire repair kit, which is something I don't appreciate. This one doesn't come with an electronic tailgate, so that one you'll have to work with. But it has a nice subtle spoiler hapo juu. Black. I wish they'll have made it a different color to complement with these roof rails that just run silver in color. Makes this car look good. I believe black is a favorite color. I would consider buying this car in white. Tukikuja hapa mbele, of course, you have your LED headlights with your daylight running, stroke indicators on the side, your H logo, H design language going on, sporty front vibe. You know, you also have your fog lights up as an LED, which is quite interesting and nice. The second reason why, of course, you will buy the Honda Vezel Hybrid, to be specific. I know you can get this car in two configurations, a hybrid and an unhybrid. And I'll just give you another disclaimer before I tell you about the shenanigans of the beauty of what is under the hood of this Honda Vezel Hybrid. This car is called in other markets as the HRV. And in Japan, it was discontinued for a very long time. I think 7 years. It came back from 2013, 2014, all the way to current, okay? And the other markets like the Australian market, the European market technically, you can get this car in a slightly different setup in terms of how big it is or how small it is. So if you're getting this car as a HRV from other markets, know that it might be slightly different in terms of size. But this is what we get from the Japanese market. And one of the unique elements that makes this car something that you need to consider is the fact that it comes with a 1500cc petrol direct injection engine from Honda. And this one is, is a special engine. Why am I calling it a special engine? I'm used to talking about the Atkinson cycle. That is something that Toyota have mastered in doing. And then on this one again, this particular, on the hybrid only, if you go and buy then an hybrid, then you're not getting the Atkinson cycle. So the Atkinson cycle is only on the hybrid variants. And what does the Atkinson cycle do? What it does is it prioritizes fuel economy over performance. So the system hapa mbele, the way valves zinafunguka za intake na valves zinafunguka za exhaust, they are designed to delay and work in a way that you get more fuel economy numbers and you sacrifice a bit of performance. And that is something that you get on the hybrid. But it doesn't stop there, because Honda being, smart and good in what they do, and I told you at the beginning, while every guy who is coming up with a hybrid, they are making cars that are just prioritizing fuel economy. Honda wako zile za, you know what if we made this guy get fuel economy, at the same time, we gave them something sporty to work with. So now, on top of having a 1500cc Atkinson cycle, fuel economical, direct injection petrol engine, they also pair to it an electric motor and a dual clutch transmission. And now the dual clutch transmission is where trouble begins, because people have misunderstood, misrepresented the reliability of the dual clutch transmission on the Honda Vezel, and this is why. Now, a dual clutch transmission is something that is different from any other transmission. Number one, we need to understand that. And I'll take you guys back in time when we had the first variants of the DSG or the VW lineup. And Kenyans was like, DSG ni mbaya, DSG ni unreliable. And right now, no one is crying. No one is saying that DSG is bad. You know why? It's because finally people caught up with the technology of what the DSG is, which is the same technology you are going to get if you're buying the dual clutch transmission from Honda. I need you to understand that the dual clutch transmission, let me give you a difference between a dual clutch transmission, which is an automatic transmission that has a set of two clutches. One clutch works to engage the odd gears and the other one works to engage the even gears. Okay, so unagonga gari iko na number 1. So these are 7-speed. So 1 clutch moja, 2 clutch ingine, 3 clutch ingine, 4 clutch different, 5 hivyo. And why this is so special, because you actuating between one gear to the other, it's so nice because the dual clutch gives you the ability to switch the gears fast. Na kwa sababu VW zina wanyama kwa barabara anytime. Unaweza pata VW iko na power kidogo, but because just like the review I did of the Volvo V40 T5, it has more power than the Golf. But there's nowhere you will have it close to a Golf in a stretch of 0 to 100 or even past that, because of the dual clutch transmission. Because the dual clutch transmission ina switch gears faster. By the time gear 1 imeengage, gear number 2 ishaokotwa, imeko standby. Umeget? So that is what Honda were going for when they came up with the DCT and they paired it with this 1500cc engine. Now, where is the catch? Where is the misconception? Where is the trouble? The trouble starts with people not understanding how to maintain and keep this dual clutch transmission on the road. So the dual clutch transmission on this car is made up of 3 compartments of 3 things. Thing number 1 is what we call the clutch pack. Okay, the clutch pack has a set of its own fluid that you need to change. And what I've researched and what I've experienced over the forums, people are recommending that you do that anything between 10,000 to 15,000 kilometers. Technically, majama, hii gari ifai upitishe kuchange your fluid on your second service. So ukifanya service yako ya pili, clutch pack fluid inafaa ichangiwe. Tuko chonjo? Clutch pack fluid ni inaenda kucool na kufanya hiyo clutch pack engage gears fiti. And they recommend you either use genuine Honda fluid. Please, genuine Honda fluid. Set number 2. The second thing that you need to know about this is the other side of the transmission, which is recommended to use an ATF fluid. And they say you need to change that every 40,000 kilometers. And I dare say, us being in the tropics, hotter region, more prone to heat, I'll say you do lower. Kama wasetu wako na transmission ya Subaru, wasa wako na transmission ya Subaru, hiyo CVT ya Subaru, mnajua tunachangingi fluid every 40,000. Ukipitisha hapo, unajieka sticks. So that is the same set of information you have for this particular transmission. Okay? So hiyo side ya gear inaekwa ATF. Weka genuine Honda ATF. So, that is not the end of the service. Now, there is a third section of that service, and that is what we call the actuator. The actuator also has a set of fluids. Again, it's recommended to change that within 10,000 to 15,000 kilometers. Tuko chonjo? Now, let me ask you guys a question. Wale watu wako na Honda Vezel Hybrid, how many of you have followed that routine? Niambieni hapo wa comments. How many of you have flushed your actuator fluid? How many of you have changed the ATF within 40,000 kilometers every time? How many of you have dealt with the flush of the fluid? Yeah, clutch pack. I bet very few or none. And that's why you guys are crying. So the question is, do you think this car is unreliable, or is it a bad use experience? And I'll tell you why. Because when these cars first came up between 2013 and 2014, it had a software glitch. And that glitch made sure that you had few problems with engaging the first gear and this car rolling off the line on the first gear. But Honda fixed that with an update. So if you're shipping in this car from 2017, 2018, just know that problem has been fixed. And now you have a smoother software that makes this car run nicely. Okay? Something else yenye ndawambia, na hii mtanisikia hapa mkatae kunisikia, is the fact that I know you've been told a lot of things about how to drive an automatic. Now listen to me. This car has a set of clutches. And when you're in traffic, ama kama uko kwa mlima na kuna traffic mingi, anybody who owns a manual transmission will tell you that one of the worst thing you can do to that transmission is ride the clutch. Okay? So guys who own this car, if you have this car and you are in a position where traffic ni mingi, ama uko kwa mlima, unapanda pole pole, if you come to a stop, don't hold the car in gear. This is where I go off the script and tell you, I would rather ukiwa kwa mlima, engage hii gari neutral, weka handbrake na ushikilie. Usiache hii gari jiengage gear na jishikilie na clutch. Because hiyo ni wear and tear. Anytime clutch iko engaged, ni wear and tear. Tuko chonjo majama. Let's roll on to reason number 3 on why people love this car. Okay? Before I tell you about how awesome the interior is, of course it comes down to the ground clearance. So people who are going into compact SUVs, one of the most important aspects of their demand is the ground clearance. And that is something that absolutely you get if you buy the Honda Vezel. This is very, very good ground clearance. Of course, pale mbele, you're running your McPherson struts. Hapa nyuma, una run independent suspension at the rear. All of them are coil sprung. So comfort in driving, handling is perfect. Again, because Honda are going for a sporty vibe, they have made sure that they have dialed that in. And that is something that I really, really like. Kwanza hii ina run such. Unaona such. Hizi ni vitu tumezoea kuona kwa Mercedes. Okay? Which is quite good. At the rear again, as I said earlier, eco-fitting. Okay? Nothing much to talk about. But let's go into the important aspect of buying, again, another compact SUV. And that is when it comes to the interior. So hapa tunafungua, mnakumbuka hiyo gari ni gani, and look what now you are being revealed into. And Honda are very smart because they have made some few compromises and design features here that are quite interesting. Design feature number 1 is you can actually roll that down. Ukitoa hii cover hapa, hii ni ile cover inakuwa kwa mgongo, so mnajua hii cover. So unapata hii ni flat. It comes all the way flat, which is quite good. I think I need to do that. it's good that I demonstrate that, because if I don't, watu watanimaliza. So let me just go at the rear and demonstrate that so that we all see how beautiful and awesome this is. So I will take this one off. Allow me. I'll take that one off and remove this thing. We will deal with it later. So here is where it gets more interesting. So you push that down, unleash there. Come on, come back. Let me bring it back. We must get the flat. Not even back. So let's just put this thing headrest down here. Then you push it. Now that's the beauty of buying a Honda Vezel. Number one, you can do that. So it can go all the way down. Okay? I bet the other cars in this category that can't do that. I know the Peugeot 208 can't do. I know the CX-3 can't do this. It can run flat, but inakuanga na edge hapa. But inakupatia an opportunity to go flat. It doesn't stop there. Let me show you something else. So you bring this seat up. This is something I saw with the Honda Shuttle, where if you want to carry heavy stuff or taller stuff, you can actually disengage this seat, unleash that, and bring this seat up, right? And just fold that one. Hapo. Umeona hapo? And you can do that for this seat as well, which is, this is the technology I love. I like people who make cars. See that? And you just push these seats on each other and they lock. Zinajishikilia tu hapo. Look at that. Wale watu wanabebanga keki, nini mnataka kuuza tall, you know, how do you call, tall luggages. Then you can pack your big cake here for a wedding, another one here, and you're good. And these seats will act as a lock. I bet there is no other car in this category that does that, okay? It doesn't stop there. Let's look at how roomy or how practical this car is. So I'll just take the seats back, push it back again, it unleashes like that, and then lift this one up, it unleashes automatically, okay? And then we get in. So being a compact SUV, of course, you'll expect it to be very tight. I feel the CX-3 suffers when it comes to this, but this car is awesome. So you get very good legroom, and as well, if you guys can look clearly, my headroom is quite good as well. That is courtesy of the engineering that Honda did with the Vezel. If you look at this car from the exterior, it looks like it's small. And this is why I consider ladies love this, because it gives them an option to carry and just haul more luggage, and maybe just have their kids more comfortable inside the cabin. This one comes with cloth interior, so there's not much going on, cloth and leather. Then you have one of the smallest armrests. I don't know whether these are deal breaker, but that's what you get. I don't know. You guys tell me. Would you rather take half leather, half cloth, ama utachukua full leather? I find cars that come with half leather, half cloth to be premium and more luxurious than those that come with full leather. And that is down to the fact that I've owned and driven cars that have leather interior. Now over time, especially in a hot season, unapatanga hapo kwa mgongo una sweat, hapa katikati ya mgongo una sweat, especially if you're driving long distances. And the fact that I have cloth here, it can't make me sweat when I'm driving long distances. I consider that a premium option. So tell me in the comments, what are your thoughts? Let's check out the front of this car. Again, minimalistic, easy design, nothing much going on. Of course, there are a few options you get hapa mbele. Uko na kitu ya kufunga makioo, you know, your side mirrors, auto on and off. You have your rear collision mitigation, you have your lane assist, okay, and then you have your traction and the economy. The economy button is when you want to have a lot of fuel savings. One place that I don't like and appreciate the Honda Vezel is when it comes to here. I feel immediately I'm buying this car, I'm deleting this one out and having an Android radio hapa, but the design here is minimalistic. Plastic again, brittle plastic, but you have soft plastic on the padding itself in front of the dashboard. Your piano black, and this is a display, by the way. It powers on to give you your options. Heated seats both for the passenger and the driver. Basically a lot of options run here. Your AC controls, you know, you can also heat your rear, you can heat your front windscreen, inaitwanga defrost, Then you can also hit your side mirrors and the rear windscreen as well. So ile maneno zile elements zilikuwa zina pita hapa mbele, zile zinafanya defrost haziko kwa hii. So at least that is something that you appreciate with this car. Now again, as I said, cloth interior, half leather, half cloth, easy. Ka gear shift haka kana kuanga ka kitu kenye Honda wamezoea. So, but most hybrids will have this thing. Then you have your brake hold, your auto parking, and then your sport mode. So you guys asking, what does the sport mode do? Remember, Honda are people who come up with very genius ways of making sure that their cars drive efficiently. This is one of the hybrids that you can drive fully in EV mode. You can also drive fully with your internal combustion engine, and at the same time you can dual both. Okay, so when you say sport is when you combine both the two, and when you combine both the two, you're putting out around 150 HP and 190 Newton meters of torque. Well, they're not numbers that you'll scream about, but for the size of this car and pair that to a dual clutch transmission, believe me, kuna watu utateka kwa hiyo barabara, which is something, again, another reason why people really love this car. Of course, you have your multifunctional steering that has your cruise control settings on this side and your lane departure settings. Now huku kuna infotainment controls, so radio, next, volume, and all that. Quite easy, minimalistic. Let me see if I can power this car up. You have your digital stroke analog instrument cluster, so it's digital on that end, and then hapa katikati tuko na traditional analog instrument cluster. Unaona hiyo ready iko hapo, inamaanisha we are ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive this car and give you my feedback on how I feel about how does it drive, how does it feel on the road. So of course, this being a dual clutch, there are a few things you'll notice when you're starting off the line that are slightly different from your kawaida torque converter automatic. Now you'll feel the clutch is engaged. So one thing that people have noted is when these gearboxes start going bad, when you have issues around this DCT, one, it will start jacking. Okay, number two, itakuonyesha ka sign up mbele ka overheating, and number three, sometimes, you know, shuddering and shaking will be something that you will start encountering. In that case, it means there are a few things umerukaruka, and I told you earlier, hii ni gearbox secure kwa traffic because iko na dual clutch. Hii ndo gearbox ndakwambia shift to N. Now hold, iko na brake hold. Shikilia na brake. Traffic ikianza crawl, put it back in drive. The genius bit of this car is, as I said earlier, it can give you an option to drive in full EV. It can give you an option to drive in both EV and the internal combustion engine. At the same time, when your EV side is solo or your battery pack is solo, again, you can drive with the internal combustion engine. And this is something I need to talk about, the Honda hybrid system vis-a-vis the Toyota hybrid system. I always say, and I'll repeat this one, this is my opinion, and it's opinion based with experience and seeing things the way they've turned out over time. I propose that Honda hybrids are much superior than Toyota hybrids. Go to any hybrid mechanic or any hybrid garage, utapata Toyota ndo zimejaa huko. Because what Honda does with their cars is they employ the use of the engine more than you get on the hybrid system. So like this one here will give you anything around 26 kilometers per liter of fuel economy. But if you buy the non-hybrid, which is the absolute choice, if you're looking for a car that is absolutely reliable, that you don't need to care about what to do because it has your kawaida CVT, which has a structured way of servicing, okay, and dealing with it, which people have mastered. Lakini ukitaka kuchukua lazima ufuate zile vitu nimekushow. Umeget? So that you get better service on this car. So what I was saying is the Honda hybrids are far much superior. They last for far much longer than the Toyota hybrids. And that is if you also take care of them. Okay, I see it. So I know what Honda was going after when they did this type of setup. The dual clutch transmission on a hybrid system and an engine. Because they wanted this car to feel a bit sporty. Does it feel sporty? Yes. Shifts, look at that. Shifts like, yes, it feels sporty. shifts like a dual clutch. It's what you want in a car. Why would you buy a car that doesn't give you this vibe? And considering you get all that in a subcompact SUV, for me that's a win. It's a plus. Like Honda nailed it. If you just have to, find a way to deal with your issues around reliability. But if you follow my script, you'll be way far much better. You'll never worry about anything reliability about the Honda Vezel Hybrid. So wale watu wenye wanaumia ni watu wenye wafuati maagizo ya manufacturer juu ya hii gari. Okay? Power, I've already told you, you only get around 150 horsepower on these and 190 newton meters of torque. Not something to write home about, but it's decent enough if you're looking for a car that gives you a little bit of beans. And I told you, the cheat code when you're buying a DCT, just like you buy a Golf or the TSI, the Golf TSI or the GTR, is the fact that the way a DCT shifts is different from the way a conventional automatic shifts. So that gives also a car a bit of an advantage in terms of spirited driving. So ni gari utanyama nayo watu mbaya sana. And I believe after a considerable time of driving this car and just having it for a while, I now understand why people actually go for a Vezel and why they will never go for something like a CX-3 or your problematic or yet to be Peugeot 2008 with the pure tech 1200cc engine. Ako ni kashida kengine, and we'll talk about that maybe in the next or subsequent video, but here it is. So let me talk about value for money, and then we can decide exactly, does it make sense for you to drive the Honda Vezel Hybrid or to own one for that matter? Just another snippet about fuel economy. Whereas the non-hybrid will give you around 19-20 kilometers per liter, this hybrid variant will give you only 26 kilometers per liter. That is according to Honda numbers, okay? But I know if you do it in real time, could be better, could be slightly lower than that. Those numbers are on average. And that tells you there's a very little difference between fuel economy of a hybrid and an unhybrid. And why is that so? The reason why that happens is because Honda, again, as I said, the hybrid system optimizes to utilize the engine more than the hybrid system. And that explains why the hybrid system will last longer, will give you more service than, for instance, buying a Toyota that has a hybrid system or a hybrid setup. So if you're planning to buy the Honda Vezel Hybrid, how much will this awesome car going to set you back? So you're looking at spending anything between 2.6 all the way to 3 million Kenya shillings. Unfortunately, especially with the new CRSP, but prepare kulipa a slightly higher price when it comes to this awesome and beautiful car. If you buy the non-hybrid, considering right now people have really hyped the non-hybrid to be as the reliable variant of the Vezel, it might cost you slightly more than buying a hybrid, okay? But one thing I need you to know is understand your car, understand how to live with your car. I think one of the greatest misconceptions and greatest problem that we have in the Kenyan market space right now is people lack the ability to understand and research on how to actually live comfortably with their car reliably. Okay, so I hope today you've noticed something about the Honda Vezel Hybrid. If you haven't subscribed and you like what you're doing, kindly, this is an opportunity for you. Again, subscribe, hit the bell icon, put all the notifications on, because I'm just going to get better at doing this every day, every time. And I'm getting you better versions of reviews and better cars as well on the channel. And give me in the comments, tell me what is the next car that you want to watch on the channel, and I'll gladly deliver that review to you. I've been your host, Papaskov himself, Ibrahim Toloi. See you on the next one.